Hi everyone and welcome to this AWS unboxing services. My name is Sergio. I'm a senior consultant at Smartwave here in Geneva, Switzerland, where I help customers on their cloud journey. And today we are going to learn how to knock out an AWS migration. And so to help you, I'm going to share with you my experience from projects I have worked on and give you some rules that you can follow so that you can succeed on your AWS migration. So, rule number 1, know yourself. There is an old Chinese saying, know yourself before your enemy. No, you are right. There's no Chinese saying like this. Anyway, what is important is for you to understand your motivation. You need to understand why you are taking this fight. Are you moving into AWS because you want to reduce costs? Or is it because you want to gain on business agility and like that reduce your time to market? Is your data center contract getting to the end? Or is just because your neighbor do not stop talking about how good AWS Cloud is? Hey, John, AWS is so cool. The other day I was doing machine learning, now I'm doing Internet of Things, and if I want, I can spin up 20 servers with only one click. And then after 20 minutes, I can just terminate all them, and I only pay for those 20 minutes. Can you imagine it? How great it is? Yeah, it's amazing. Anyway, a motivation is not only important for you to take the leap, but is also very important to engage your stakeholders. And believe me, you want to have the maximum number of stakeholders on your side. Otherwise, you will end up alone on the corner of the ring fighting the top 10 boxers of all time. You also need to know about your application portfolio. And for each application, you need to know who owns it, so that you can have information like the roadmap of that application, if the application is going to be decommissioned, upgraded, or just replaced by something else. You need to know how to operate and manage that application once it is running on the cloud. You need to understand if there are dependencies between applications so that you can group them and move them at the same time into the cloud. And finally, you also need to know which machine you need to have on AWS to host your application. So it's very, very important to know your application portfolio in detail if you want to create a solid migration plan. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult to remediate your migration plan if you don't get it right from the beginning. Number 2, know your enemy. Now that you know a little bit more about you, it's time for you to focus on your enemy and find out if you can take this fight. So a migration is not only a technical or IT transformation project. In fact, it spans your entire organization, from business to people to governance, platform, security, and operations. In order to assess your readiness to migrate into the cloud, AWS provides you 2 tools: the Migration Readiness Assessment and the Cloud Adoption Framework. So these 2 tools organize guidance into these 6 areas or 6 perspectives I have just mentioned before, and for each of them will assist you to create an action plan for you to eliminate your existing gaps in your skills and processes. Skipping this step is like having a fight between Fred Astaire and Muhammad Ali. We know that both can dance, but it's not your dancing skills that will take you to the last round. Rule number 3 is strategy. So now that you know yourself and that you know your enemy, it's time to come up with a strategy. The first tool you can use is the business case. A business case will tell you things like the cost of migrating, the cost of running your applications on the cloud, and also the cost of exiting your existing infrastructure, so that by the end of the day you have a clear picture of the costs and benefits of doing nothing against migrating into the cloud. So the business case will not only be useful for you to define your strategy, but the business case will also play a key role on getting your stakeholders to buy your cloud initiative. And then you need a migration plan. What are you going to migrate first? And are you going for a series of jabs? Or are you going straight to an uppercut? And at the beginning, you might think it's too early to go for an uppercut. But your first application you migrate into the cloud needs definitely to have a business impact. You want to build momentum on each migration. If the application you migrate adds no value to your business, stakeholders will lose their focus and their engagement. And so you will end up on the corner of the ring, alone, on the shoes of Fred Astaire. So be sure that you choose an application that is not only simple, but that can easily and quickly be migrated into the cloud. So please do not start with that COBOL application that runs on your mainframe. Okay, number 4, practice. So I'm sure we all have seen Rocky the movie, and that we all have spent some time on the mirror playing some of those moves. Adrian! Adrian! Yeah, at some point I also thought I was Rocky Balboa, until I find myself with some stitches on the back of my head just because a neighbor pushed me against the wall. So lesson learned, no matter how much you practice, you only learn on the action. Getting up to speed with AWS technology is fundamental to succeed on your cloud journey. And while you can train your staff, you can send them to AWS workshops, or you can get them to be certified, practice tells us that the best way to learn is by doing the real stuff, to have your hands on. So make sure to keep your initial scope to applications that are easy to move, so that they can learn on the process. So not only they will learn from their mistakes and avoid them in the future, but they will also learn new procedures, they will experience new tools, and they will rely more and more on automation, so that on every migration they will perform, they will be more confident and one step closer to success. And finally, rule number 5, foundation. On a fight, all rounds are important, but the first one is probably the most important one, as this is the moment where both fighters want to demonstrate to each other that they have a very solid foundation that is going to be very hard to kick their ass. And for the AWS migration, you will also need to have a very good foundation, which on AWS terms means you need to have a landing zone. And no, a landing zone is not a place where you will fall after being knocked out. With Control Tower, you will deploy an AWS multi-account environment that is secure, scalable, and is based on AWS best practices. If you want to make sure you get to the last round, you need to have a landing zone in place. So these are the main rules that you should consider on every AWS migration project you have. So I did not mention about the 7 R's strategy, and do not mistake them with the 7 Nations Army song. And I also did not mention about the tools that you can use at every stage that will help you to mitigate the risks associated with your migration. And the reason why is that I want to keep this video short, and I also think that these two subjects deserve their own AWS Unboxing Services episodes. So stay tuned and do not forget to share this video. And also, if you have questions or comments, just drop me a line here below in the comments. And finally, I want to thank you and I hope to see you soon. Until then, do not forget to practice. AWS Unboxing Services, AWS Unboxing Services, AWS Unboxing Services.